Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your favorite show, Men, the show that talks about the things no one is willing to talk about. This evening, we are at the Naguru Skies Hotel, enjoying the most awesome view in Kampala. And we're going to be talking about professions that men traditionally have held that are sort of evolving, and how women are sort of getting into these spaces and changing them for the better. Our host tonight, our guest, sorry, I am the host. My name is Colin Nasimwe. My Twitter handle is Spartacus UG. And I'll be replacing Peter because, you know, Peter is away gallivanting up in the country, somewhere doing, you know, what God knows what Peter does. Our guest tonight is Eve Zalwango, who is a professionally trained carpenter and runs a business called Our Car. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort of ask her about what it is like getting into this kind of business and changing the work environment for men. Eve, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We're really happy to have you here.
Yes.
Tell us about how this all started, how you started doing this, and what have you learned being in that business?
Why carpentry?
Why carpentry? I always like things that everybody else doesn't like. Even at home, I was always that person who's always trying things out. But then carpentry, I did my school in India, and I got very much fascinated by the culture, by the way the Indians are. And I'm always that kind of person, very traditional. I believe hands-on skills in this country or anywhere in the world is something where you can always have a living without having to have capital to start a business. And this for me has made me change so many things and perception on how life works. But why carpentry? I think when I wake up in the morning and then I find somebody who is saying, I need a table, and then I'm like, okay, how do you make that table? Because the whole chain of carpentry in Uganda has always been, I would say it in Uganda, you know, that kind of
over depositing, but let me tell you. Anyway, I'm going to talk about this later when Chris starts talking.
For me, I came into this kind of profession to kind of figure out how can we do it differently. That has been the very norm of the traditional, and change it and make it look cool. Like nowadays, people say things are cool and stuff. So how do we make it cool? How do we make it that even women look up to you and say, you know, it is cool. I can be a carpenter. I can be a mechanic. I can be anything I want. I can be a welder. So in a way, it has kind of shaped me, and it's the same thing. I have two daughters, and trust me, I'm not going to tell them to do anything else. I will teach them what I know, because you can't teach your kids what you do not know. So, and somehow it comes off as a passion. I've had a history of how my grandparents were involved in this. He didn't have so many people that are involved in it, but it comes off as a passion, because when I wake up in the morning and I am on tension, somebody's table has to get done. It keeps me going, and at the same time, it makes me think of how I have to impress the next person.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, just sort of before, so you've been doing this for how many years?
Professionally 8 years, but again, the business has been running for 14 years.
Okay. So the reason why I was asking is, if you think about it, if you think this kind of business is a high pressure business, and sort of reminds me of where we first met, which is in communications. I mean, and that's very corporate. That's very, you know, press conferences, the media, you know, crisis communications, that whole story. Moving and transitioning out of that into a business that's also high pressure, but it's very much about you pay your money, and you expect the sofa set to come in 2 months or a month.
It's never 2 months. Even a month is long.
You need to try me. You need to try me. You need to try me.
People want 1 week. 1 week.
So
that's the biggest challenge.
So talk to us about the pressure, because I'm going to come after that and go to Chris, because he understands this whole communication environment. He understands the pressure. So tell me about how skills that you're learning or that you're transferring from your previous life and getting into this, and how that sort of changed the environment.
For me, coming from the communication background, somehow it kind of gave me this way of working on timelines. You need to make sure you beat your deadlines, because if an advert has to come out on this day and you're working with these big organizations, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. It has to come out, and it has to work that way. So for me, that is what I transferred into this profession, whereby although I work with a group of people where their professionalism is not there whatsoever, they don't care. Because
Is that how carpenters traditionally are?
yes, I am not going to say no, it is how it has been. Because
industry.
the industry has been like that. That people are expecting, the carpenter is expecting the client to actually be the one to wait for them. They don't take it as a business and they don't take it as a profession, I will tell you that. They kind of come off in a way, he has paid me his money, he can wait for this, so if I have other clients to serve. But again, you're not looking at this as business. That's why a lot of them keep saying the man has been a carpenter for 20 years. In the same position, selling the same things, same designs. They don't open up to knowing,
New
you know,
ideas.
there's like, if I get a contract from
Some-
Sky's Hotel, that would be big money.
Akalango,
Yes.
boom!
That would be big money. So for me, in a way, I look at that vision and I say, I want my business to get there. I want people to go to Sky's Hotel, to Serena, and say, that was made from here. I want the experts living in this country, they go back home and take certain pieces and they say, this is something I got from Uganda, and they're proud of, because most of the professions, skills-on professions here, people don't look at the bigger picture. They don't look at the future. There's like, I fixed the car, end of story. Your car is working, I am good. But then if you fix that guy's car, and then at the same time he says, you know, this guy, I took my car, he told me 4 days and 4 days was done. You're getting another customer. They don't look at that. Me, I look at it as business. At the end of the day, I have to make money, I have to grow my business, I have kids to take care of. Hence, I need to make sure things are done on time.
Okay.
Basically,
Coming from that, Chris, you have heard it from the guest. My question to you is, do you feel that in certain professions, and maybe hands-on professions, I know, for example, that the carpenters are generally the world's most mistrusted professionals.
after
They
Taylor.
come right.
We are in the same
They
field.
come,
After
ahead
tailors.
of, they come ahead of tailors, and under that plumbers, then electricians. The dodgiest people of all people are, you know, those guys. You
forgot a
you pay for the bed. You pay for the bed like this. It's already there. You just tell him, take a coca vanish. ngenda kuchimencha. It was done. It has been there. You've passed it for 2 weeks. You pay the deposit. You come tomorrow. The bed is gone.
Yeah.
Then the guy dodges you for 6 weeks because he took your deposit, but the other guy just came and paid. Hey, vanish. You take it. So now, hypothetically, the bed is 100K. He's taken your 60,000 deposit. He's now taken another 120 from the guy who bought immediately. So he's just like, I have money for 3 weeks. That guy who paid his deposit can go. Do you feel like that there are certain professions that people don't take seriously, especially in the vocations space?
So I think that there's a whole combination of things. There's the whole conversation around work ethic. And just think about the work ethic of different countries in this East African region. To get work done, same job in Kenya would be much shorter than in Uganda. In fact, so they say Kenya is fastest, followed by Uganda. And then in Tanzania, people think about it and get it done. In Rwanda, they think and then feel whether they should get it done. Then it is said that in Sudan, if you go ask for your job, they may shoot you.
What is work?
What is work?
My God.
No, but it's what is said. It's mbu, right? But the point is, there's a whole conversation around the work ethic. And I know that that does contribute to how and when we get the work done. But of course, like we've said, certain professions sort of come up to the top. And what's interesting is the 4 professions mentioned have been male-dominated. Carpentry, plumbing, electrical stuff, and
Mechanical.
I forget the 4th one. But
Tailoring.
those tailoring. Well,
No,
tailoring has
tailoring
ladies.
was ladies.
Tailoring has
Guys,
ladies.
you think about it.
But-
the best tailor you know is always some Congolese guy
Yes.
who sits on a corner.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you're
that
saying
guy.
I didn't teach the ladies properly.
Oh, that guy in a Kaunda suit in the
Yes.
village on
Yeah.
that
So
shop.
it's kicking.
Yeah. But there's been, unfortunately, it's been the male-dominated sort of professions. But times are changing. times are changing. You have Eve here owning our car. It's a carpentry shop. She's a lady. First of all, she's going to go to the same competition you're trying to get business from, and she's speaking the English she speaks. Oh, here, India professional, what? So she gets the deal.
You know,
So you do not say, I've been doing this for a long time. No. So she's going to do a lot of Luzungu and get the deal. So if you show up between you and her, she will get the deal.
Yeah.
Then she's got a system that's working.
Yeah.
Right? And she's going to beat that deadline. You know, the truth is that many people, say for example, carpentry, which we're talking about what she's involved in, for example, that guy you said who, you know, you deposit and then he says, I only need varnish, and then most beds are sold 6 times. One bed. You know, everyone comes, deposits, then the 6th guy real takes it. So then the reason why you have to wait 6 weeks is he has to first start with the first guy, the deposit. Okay? So those are the challenges that you have. But I think that we need to now rethink how we work. And it's not really about whether we're male or female. It's plain simple. Your competition is 8 seconds behind you.
Yeah.
On any day.
On any day. 8. Okay? So while you're thinking that
1986.
look, there is Eve, and after Eve there is Ananita, and God knows what else. So we just need to get our game plan going. And also, I feel that we need to switch our thinking from male-dominated jobs per se to having the best workers do the job, whether they are male or female, and pay them equally.
Okay.
All right?
So, coming off of that, Faisal, think about what Eva said and what Chris is saying. The idea that women coming into some of these places, and maybe because from your generation, there's so many more ideas, you have so much more access to the internet. So if, as an example, if you're a carpenter, you're bringing new ideas because it's stuff you've looked up online.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is space for a takeover in some of these things, in some of these professions?
Well, I feel like we're arguing the topic on a biased format. Yeah?
Why?
Because as much as you're saying women are infiltrating all these jobs men used to do, men as well are infiltrating all these jobs women used to do. I mean, talk about hairdressing. Yeah, talk about makeup. I've done makeup before, by the way.
You sold makeup. You are not doing the Faisal.
Well, to sell makeup,
No.
do something.
You,
and
you,
show
you,
people,
the
by the
problem
way.
is you think that
This
the
is how-
viewers only come for this episode.
Gwe,
They were there. on that-
watundanga lipstick tewatekangako
Either
lipstick.
way, bali batundanga lipstick tebalinga basajja. But what I'm saying is, in my century, we've really moved away from that thing of saying this is a woman's job or this is a man's job to this is a job. Any job is
And
a
it must
job.
be done now.
Yeah, and you can be good at what you're doing as long as they are hiring and they are paying.
As long as they are hiring and they are
And they're
firing.
paying.
And they are firing.
And firing has to be part of
Well, and so yes, of course, there's room for a takeover because there's some of these jobs that need a lot of precision, and you know that women have really been raised to be precise. Yeah, when you're cooking, let it be precise. Let it be just 2 tablespoons of salt. Yeah, as a man, I'll ask you why 2? Why can't I just pour, taste? I'm like, yeah, this is it. Yeah?
Yeah.
So they've generally been taught how to be precise. Yeah, they are accurate. So in most of all these jobs, you know that women are infiltrating that have been previously been occupied by men. There's a lot of precision involved. Yeah, and let me also talk about plumbers and carpenters and all that. These guys were good at some point. Let me tell you, because I mean you're not going to become a carpenter if you don't have business. So this is what happens. The guy comes, and we've seen this a lot. The guy comes, you set up a business, people come. So you
Because
find
there's
out,
a need.
Exactly. So you find out, oh, I'm good. So now people just abuse the fact that they are good at their profession. And this is not just plumbing. I mean, I've got doctors as well. Yeah, they're just these doctors who you go to, and it's like, I'll see you next week. Like the guy just keeps on postponing. There's a case that was in newspapers. By the time the doctor agreed to see the patient had died. Why? Because certain people work and then they just reach that platform of, you know what, I'm too good, people can wait. Yeah?
Yes. Now, thinking about that, so when you come back from the break, we're going to talk about, so this is, again, I think this sort of the line of work ethic and being committed to sort of delivering a great service. I don't want to agree with you that women are raised to be more precise. That sort of just creates certain unfair advantages and assumptions. But we're going to deal with that after the break. When we come back, we'll be dealing with that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the Nakuru Skies Hotel. Beautiful view, amazing atmosphere. It's great. The lights are on. The city in the background, as you can see, is lit. It's been a wonderful Wednesday evening. We want to hear from you. Join the conversation. Find us on our Facebook. Our Facebook page is NTV Men. But also follow us on Twitter. Join the conversation. Our Twitter handles are right under our pages. But also the hashtag is NTV Men. That's the hashtag to follow us on Twitter and be part of the conversation. Give us your feedback. We want to hear from you. And we'll see you right after the break. And welcome back from the break. My name is Colin, and you're here together with us on NTV Men, Wednesday night, your favorite show, the show that talks about the things no one wants to talk about. Now, remember that we're here at the Nakuru Skies Hotel, and we're talking about the sort of men's work environment and how the work environment is changing. Before we went into the break, Faisal was talking about how women are raised to be more precise, and I wanted to sort of come off of that. And first of all say that I disagree. Women, I don't know, precision is a function of so many things. It's not a function of gender. But the conversation that I wanted to ask is, and so maybe...
Colin, you know, you've just created a roadblock in someone's mind right there. Because this precision thing,
women,
it's so real.
Women are meticulous.
Exactly,
Yes.
as meticulous has precision in it.
Okay.
It's said that God created just the bodies. It's like there were rough lines with guys and precision with ladies for a reason.
You know what? Just tell him you agree with me.
Exactly.
That's how to shut down the show.
No. But so I think if you say that, if you had a population of 100 men and 100 women, and you're looking for precision, you'll get a higher chance of precision from ladies than you would from men. And in fact, if could speak to you about it,
I think
even in her business.
Yes.
I think Eve is going to. So Eve, we're going to talk about your business, but before we get into that, I want to ask you about sort of what kind of reactions do you get when you. So when you came this evening and I introduced you to the guys and you are meeting the guys, the expression on Chris's face when you said, I'm a carpenter. There was that.
Like, what?
It was that, dropped jaw. Do you get that a lot? Sort of the stereotypes around this profession. Like,
You actually, for me, I've had the good things and the bad things saying that. In a way, you get some, I'm not going to say egocentric kind of men, or that those that look at you is like, this one is trying to be a muyaye to like the way he was saying your English and things like that. Like how did you move from being this person and now you're saying you're a carpenter? How do I trust you to get one? And then you get these men who are like, when they go to their friends and they say, I'm making my house and there's this lady a carpenter, she's my carpenter. They get that kind of a feel. I get both ways in my profession, but the most amazing part I get is actually when people walk into the showroom, they say, I'm always in trying to talk to clients, and then they'll definitely negotiate, they look at the table, I love it, it's nice and all those things. Then they say, where is the boss? I like to talk to the boss and I get a discount. And I'm like, the boss is out at the moment, but I can give you a better discount. No problem. And it's like, and then they come up with saying, this has to be Muzungu work. Your boss must be a Muzungu. And I'm like, no, 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 no. The boss is not Muzungu, but it is actually Ugandans making this furniture.
Yes.
So you get this kind of a perception of like, how can Ugandans have quality like this, and how can Ugandans be able to make what we see,
Yes.
and those kind of.
So it's a disconnect in people's minds.
In people's minds, and there are those who get fascinated and are like, huh? You're a carpenter? I would like to know your story. And then there are those who are like, I'm out of here.
It's not true. This cannot be.
This cannot be.
This is a front for
woman.
someone else's.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, and actually I get a lot of this where somebody is, it is stereotyping. You're this very tiny woman, and people look at you as like, as a Muzungu just put in some Ugandan chick, and then
to run
this
the
chick,
business.
yes, exactly. She can show us the men, because it's always, you get, basically we actually get 95% men coming to us for shopping, because in Uganda men are the ones that build. They are the ones that make those decisions into the house. Very few times you find a woman, again, if she walks in, she will definitely get
The husband to come and see
exactly
the other table she
yes,
likes.
exactly, and then approve of
the purchase.
table. Yes, but for me now, I get this thing of where when I get to advise clients, whereby they come to me and then they say, if I need this table, it's going into this corner. I first look at your finger, and if I see the ring, and I'm like, oh, where is the wife? And then you go like, oh, she's okay, she'll be fine with it. I'm like, you're sure? Because she's the one who's hosting people. And then they'll be like, so you're trying to tell my wife to come here and then shop more, eh? Because there's also that, where she would come in and say, okay, we have to buy that table, we have to buy.
Kano kagenderako ne kali.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
So,
nothing, the table cannot come by itself. It has to come in.
so you get that kind of a mindset of where I get two, and then I get
Yes.
challenges of where people completely won't trust you at all because you're a woman, and they're like, and actually, to be honest with you, I get this a lot from the women.
And what you've said is very interesting, because if you think about it, and in Kampala, it's so shocking when you hear of, oh, there's a woman who drives a kamunye, you know.
Oh,
There's a woman who drives
Akube
a
safety
surfboard
conductor.
conductor
Boda,
who drives a border board. So why do we
Rider.
get so surprised? Why is it such a jarring experience for us to see women in this profession?
Because carpentry is associated with muscle,
Yes,
sweat,
yes.
dirt, and everything masculine.
Yes.
Basically,
Right? In fact,
Hard labor.
yeah, in fact,
everything you've mentioned is going to destroy her hair.
yeah. All right. So most of the time, if someone was picking good carpenters and had to pick between the three of us as guys right now, I doubt I would be picked because I have a small frame. I mean, carpentry, the idea is you have that guy Akbalanda. Yeah, Colin would be on the joinery. No. Colin would be in a
You give your contract, you find it in someone else's house.
No. Colin would be that Murasta, Kola joiner now. He'd be the guy
Who's adding the
Putting
he's the
things
joiner.
together, yeah.
But because of that, because it's muscle and energy, it's typically a male-dominated profession just because of that, and we need to be honest. Even with lots of technological advancement and things like that, you still will find that a carpentry shop really won't work well without men.
Absolutely.
All right, you need muscle, you need that jagged edge, the masculine, touch of some of these professions.
But you also need the finesse.
Yeah, and that's where the women come in.
Because
Because after Colin has done joinery, Spice has done kuranda, and what. So then that vanish, those fine details,
fine tuning.
the fine tunings are really then done by ladies. And in fact, there's a time where once at some point we're constructing with my wife, and we needed burglar proofing, and there's these guys we were working with, some Turkish guys. So all the metal bending and the welding and stuff was done by guys,
Yeah.
but the finishes
Yes.
were done by the ladies.
Yes.
The spraying,
Yes.
the patience with all that, putting bronze, I don't know what,
Yes.
all that detail was done by ladies because they are more precise, so that's where precision comes in. B, B is because they are more patient.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, some of those things, you know, for a guy, it's like, you know, we design, Maze, pay me, and then the guy is aggressive. I've finished.
Let me
So that's where it comes in.
Let me even add something. And C, you on B, and C, it's because when you come into something and it's dominated by someone else, let's say a male domination or a female domination or something, you really have to do your best. You have to work times 2.
Yes.
Because you find the way Eve works in her carpentry is not the way any other guy that has his carpentry
Serunjoji and Sons work.
Serunjoji, yeah. Been ebintu abimanyi byabasajja and I've been doing this the entire time. Exactly. But someone like Eve has to work times 2 to get that same vision someone else gets when they see Serunjoji. Because you're going to see a lady and you're going to associate her with maybe Yateka saleswoman now. You know how women are more appealing to men sometimes and all that.
So it's just like a face to attract.
Exactly, exactly. So you find that when people enter these spaces where they haven't been, they want to prove.
And so they work twice as hard.
Yeah, that's
so then they are operating above the industry standard.
And let me tell you, no one works to prove themselves more than women.
Yes.
That is just that. I mean, if it's about proving something, and I literally wonder why, you know, CMI is not filled with women all over. Maybe this is why the cases are not closing. Because if you feel women in there, my friend, they will try to prove. They will prove to the last detail, like, you know what?
Yes.
It is like this.
To be honest, I think what he's talking about is very true, and what Chris said is very, very key. Even for me, in my own carpentry, the women are the ones that do the finishing touches. 1, because they're very patient. Then 2, they will pay attention to details. And 3, as a woman, being their boss, there's that sort of respect. And they always understand your feelings. Because if that days we're on pressure and I have to scream on top of my voice, they all say, Madam is not happy, we need to make sure it is happening. And the men's like, she'll get over it. You understand?
They tune you out.
Yes.
Because they're not going to beat you.
They say stuff like that. Instead of understanding that because you're on pressure,
somewhere. No, it's not the same.
Yes, there's a pressure.
Exactly.
Because they feel nothing.
And in this profession, it happens a lot, because it's the same way you have a mechanic where you tell the guy, I need this car, I have to go to the village, and it's very, very key. The guy's like, Wednesday. Then you call him, he's like, boss, the car is not ready, and he's not bothered at all.
Exactly.
It's not that. But I also think on these professionals, when the way the education system is set, any child you find that is going to a vocational school, in a way, when they are preparing them, they kind of set off to be failures, because somebody is going to tell you, you can't go to the university, we don't have enough money, but you can go to a vocational school. At that point, you're setting this child up, telling them whatever you're going to do is very low level, substandard. So they go into these professions thinking, I'm just a carpenter, I'm just a mechanic, and my parents failed to get money. But then at the same time, even the schools they go to, they do not teach them that whatever you do, what we call the basics, whatever you do, this is a profession where you need to make money. Think about it as a business. They don't have that mindset that they would think about it as a business. So those whole education background also have.
So wait. You're going to just, we have to go into a break. I can't believe I have become the info guy. The way I hate Peter taking us into break, but I have to sort of call us into break, and we'll be right back. Now, thank you for staying with us. If you're with us, we're just coming to the end of a second segment of our NTV main show. Tonight, we're here at the Nakuru Skies Hotel with a beautiful view and a wonderful background. We want to hear from you. So find us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is NTV Main. Find us on Twitter. Our handles are under our faces. You'll see them. And join the conversation on Twitter. The hashtag is NTV Men. Follow us, and then we'll see you right after the break. Right before we went into the break, Eve introduced a very interesting concept. She said that because of the nature of these vocational skills, a lot of people sort of go in already with a negative perception because of the education, and so people generally don't even have a positive attitude as they get into that. And you wanted to comment on that, and then maybe we'll get Chris to say something about that.
Yes. From the minute you are born, yeah, your parents are telling you, you know, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a doctor. I mean, sincerely, growing up, no one ever told me to become a carpenter. Like, no one ever told me, you know what?
There's an option.
Grow up and become a carpenter.
That's where
You'll
the money
make money.
is.
Nothing. It was either law, engineer, and doctor if you're very bright, but they knew I wasn't bright, so they didn't talk about being a doctor. So now you grow up with this whole thing of, you know what? They've told us if we want to make money, it has to be a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor. And I mean, even the series we watch, the movies we watch, all these people making money.
The coolest.
Yeah.
Yes, they are lawyers, they are doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, the series dedicated to just doctors, just lawyers. You're not going to find a series whereby now this series is just about being a carpenter.
Plumbers.
Being a plumber, well, apart from some things people are not supposed to watch, but you know. So I mean, you grow up with this whole perception of I don't think I can make money being a carpenter.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running around, throwing around stones, and there are carpenters, and there are guys selling charcoal, these guys selling wood, but these people make a killing. I have a friend of mine who's selling wood and he's making a lot of money, yeah? But if I told you, you know what, to get to tunde mbao, you're going to say, no, how
Yeah.
can I do that?
Yeah.
I
Nzo
mean,
yagende makerere.
exactly, I mean, even
N'abechambogo nabo webatu bebechanga.
even the owner of this hotel, Mr. Patrick Bitature, I mean, he started out selling sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Colin, did anyone ever tell you when you were young, sell sugar, you'll own a hotel?
No.
Do you think his parents told him, sell sugar, you'll own a hotel?
I mean, we take you to expensive schools to sell sugar.
Exactly.
Sell sugar, exactly. So
I took you all the way to India to go
So,
to school,
I
and you
mean,
come back
grow
to
up-
tell me
you
you're a
grow up
carpenter. Are you crazy?
one-sided, and they tell you, you know, white collar jobs, blue collar jobs, you know, you're better off being in office. These are teachers who are telling you this, who are also not making a killing, but for
They
some
are
reason,
also not in office.
we believe them. We believe them. So it's just, and you just grow up biased. And when you grow up biased, you're really not going to want to do whatever they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me, you know what? Making up women is a killing. You make a lot of money. But the fact that my mom never ever told me, you know what, if you make up women, you'll make $100 per face. I will really never believe in it.
Yeah.
And you know, just to build on to what this conversation is, and I think it's really critical that we speak into this. Because, you know, I remember, because of my size, I've always been small and all that, and my mom said in Luganda, mwana wange soma nnyo kuba tojja kusobola kusindika bigaali.
Joking.
Story.
Oh, it was so real.
Yeah, she was telling me. She knew who you were.
My way out in life was study hard and get some job of using your head.
Yeah.
She was
Because with
right.
your frame, you cannot manage this
She was
wheelbarrow
right.
pushing.
Imagine you're pumping Chris with porridge every day, porridge, but
But
the man is
it
still
goes
small.
it goes nowhere. But I once heard about a guy who, you know, is running sort of like a monopoly of wheelbarrows in Owino.
Wheelbarrows.
Wheelbarrows. To push a wheelbarrow in Owino, you don't just go, you call in and you start pushing a wheelbarrow. No! You need to pay someone
Yeah,
to
exactly, to get into the
Wait,
business.
a win number.
Hey,
and
you have
You
to
guys
get
are
it.
lying.
Hey,
What
you're
I saw,
joking.
they even have number plates these days.
Okay? So wheelbarrow pushing is making someone a lot of money in Owino. Right now.
Today.
Yes. So here's the thing. And I think there's a proverb that says Solomon wrote, and he said, where there are oxen, where there are no oxen, the sort of like the kraal or whatever is clean. Or where they are, it's dirty, but basically you have the cow dung, the dung from the oxen,
Which is fertile.
but with wealth.
Yes.
So there's a thing about us looking at some jobs, guys, these jobs are very dirty, we are abantu bawansi, and for men of low means, as compared to following the money.
Yeah.
Just doing the maths and saying,
Exactly.
Which is-
where is
Business
the
perception.
money?
Yes.
Because for most people who are doing white collar jobs and all that, you don't have daily cash flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What am I saying? I think that as a nation we need to change the way we are thinking
Yeah,
about money.
absolutely.
Money is actually in the dirty place.
Absolutely.
Money is in the places of inconvenience. The rich, rich people go beyond inconvenience, go beyond
Yeah.
discomfort.
They see beyond those things.
You know, and they say they follow the money.
All he sees
So,
is
so
money.
Eve right here is not thinking, okay, how will
My
people see me
nails,
without
my
varnish on
hair,
my nails?
Yeah.
I
My
need,
hair,
I need
can
my
we-
long hair. You know, how can I be in a carpentry?
How will people see me smelling
She's
wood?
trimmed her hair, you know, so maybe she puts on a net or something like those things of Taxify over those Uber borders. I don't know how she gets into that. But it's real quick, you know?
Yes.
Get in there,
And then get
supervise, make sure that the work is ready, then take it off and come and smile and
Make
speak
some
English
money.
as you sell. So, but the point is that I think we need to change the way we are thinking.
Yeah, perfect.
We need
Yeah.
to get our hands dirty
Yeah.
and follow the money.
Yeah.
But Chris, so I hear what you're saying, but don't forget that for a lot of cases, people like Eve are sort of the outlier, they're exceptions. Most guys who receive what we call a formal white-collar education think that they deserve to be in an office with a laptop and the office assistant,
Browsing
and
internet.
yes, and browsing and surfing
Paying
and
social
leaving
media
office
tax.
at 5 so they can go to the gym.
So here is the biggest problem we have. today.
I'm framing it.
Yeah.
So they that's what they think that their education has entitled them to.
True.
I agree.
In asking people to change how they think about it, you're saying to them, dude,
Your education was worthless.
your education is not applicable in this skills-based world where we are living.
Sir. And I'm saying that, and I'm actually not just saying it, I'm screaming it. It's just that, well, because we're on TV, I really can't get unruly.
You can jump up
but
and
I'm
down
screaming it,
to
and
show
here's
that you're
why.
emphasizing
Yeah.
the point.
Here's why. With AI coming in, many of the jobs that most white-collar people are doing are going to be rendered irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right? You have IBM Watson. People can ask a computer, consult a computer concerning a law case,
Yes.
and it's going to give accurate information. I think it's now about 75% accuracy,
Actually.
and it's growing.
And
Yeah,
that's
and
that's higher than what humans.
That's higher than what
Yeah,
a lawyer will be able to give you
You're-
already.
And I heard about
Right?
something Bowman's is doing actually.
Yeah.
They have an AI called Kira. So what you do, you know this whole thing of you're a lawyer, you have so many cases to look through. So right now you literally just open your laptop, type the case you want,
Yeah.
and Kira just gives you what you're looking for.
All the references, all the
Right. Yeah,
cases,
and
all the rulings,
So do you know what that's going to do? Most lawyers,
and clerks, and the
all those guys are going to be losing their jobs. All right. Recently, I watched a video of a machine that is doing high precision bricklaying,
Yeah.
high precision, with accuracy that's unbelievable.
Yep.
Right. So then, what you need is the human touch to come and just add. So it's one guy who comes to do little finishes, or one lady.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Where we are going now is we need to be doing jobs computers can't do.
Yeah.
which is where the arts and human creativity and
So human
ingenuity come in.
creativity cannot be replaced,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I will tell you that after I have designed a new table, right, the computer will be able to put it together. But most of the time, you need me to design the table.
The
Yeah.
origination, that creativity.
Right?
Yes.
I need to
The
feed
making
into
of
the
a
person's
Rolls Royce.
passion.
I was watching a video on the making of the Rolls Royce. There is this guy who is from generation to generation. Their job is to get a paintbrush and draw that that straight line from the front of the Rolls Royce to the back. They spend all their life learning how to draw that line.
Perfect.
Right? And it's not computer drawn. And the thing about any Rolls Royce is you can tell, because you can see it's a hand paint, but it's so straight. But a computer will do it too straight. But
Yes.
this is human straight.
Yes.
So the creativities, the arts, the things where people need to think. AI cannot be able, computers will not be able to operate. Because you see, when if you go in and say we've scanned, we're going to remove, some intestine. But usually a medical doctor will get in there and say, okay, so it was the intestine, but then I'm also seeing this, I'm also seeing that.
Yes.
So making decisions real time. So we need to be looking for jobs
that require,
where you are going to make decisions real time.
and you cannot be replaced
need-
by
And you
the
can't be
We
replaced.
need to,
So-
we need
so-
to become traditional dancers.
I don't know.
Because you know, I've thought about
Imagine dancing a
trying
magunju.
to teach a robot.
It's not going to handle.
Exactly.
It will never happen.
They're the truth.
Well, I see the point. I see the point. And but so speaking sort of that story, then it makes sense that sort of the emerging professions now that people are doing are sort of fresh new things. You know, I was reading. We were preparing for some new business the other day, and we were talking about 10 professions that exist today that didn't exist 10 years ago. So app developers, you know, UI, user interface,
marketing and all
digital marketing, community managers, that whole sort of set of and even in carpentries, for you know, guys who design, the guys who
Yeah.
originate new tables, new designs,
Exactly.
you know, what they call it, post-modern, you know, furniture.
Yeah.
Now,
Although, I wish I could do some business coaching here, but well, we can all still make money if we make it, keep it, and grow it. It's about saving it and investing it
putting
well.
it in. Yeah.
so we're going to come into our parting shots now. In your parting shot, I need you to include sort of the takeaways. What have we taken away from today? What are the learnings? What are you saying to that young person out there who's in a job, they really want to be a digital community manager, or they really think that they could be a lady in carpentry or plumbing, and they think that it could make a difference there, but they're scared. So they are out there doing this other diploma course in BA admin, you know, and hoping that they can make a difference. What are we saying to young people out there? That's what I'd like you to include in your parting shot. We'll begin with you, Eve.
For me, number one is that I'll speak to the ladies now, or the young girl, a 14-year-old girl right there. That girl, number one, needs the father's support.
Yeah.
In all jobs, in all traditions, I will tell you, if my mom came to me and told me, you can be an amazing carpenter and everything, I'll be looking at her and it's like, does she believe me? That if my dad comes to me and says, Eve, this is something you can be good at, trust me, that changes the mindset of a girl. So that 14-year-old girl who wants to be anything she wants to be in this world needs the father's support. The fathers need to be there to support those girls. And two, also, anything a person has to do needs to be involved as a passion. Certain things, we look at the money and do so many things about the money. But at the end of the day, if you wake up in the morning and say, I love what I do, the money comes in, but that money comes in with joy. For me, I'll tell you, if I deliver a table to a customer and that customer tells me, Eve, I love my table, I'm like, sold. Now you can pay. So, but at the end of the day, I see that person happy, and me, I'm getting what I want, which is money. But at the same time, I need that customer satisfaction. At the end of the day, it's passion and all that. But also, the other thing from what I've been doing is I've been learning from even my own carpenters is that there's need for parents to actually tell people that there are options in the world. There's so many options. People can be amazing. We have people who nowadays say, let's work smart. I do not know what that means. I have failed to understand how working smart is, because anyone I know has worked smart and worked very, very hard. But people tend to think that they will work smart and they will not have to work very hard. Yeah, that is possible. But at the end of the day, look at all the billionaires of this world. Let's talk about Bill Gates. He sat down and created all those things. He worked very hard on that. He's working smart now. He has a lot of people. He makes money every day. At the beginning, there has to be work at the beginning.
He also has a very strong work ethic.
Yes.
Just, he's still working hard.
Exactly.
Sorry, Mr. Patricia, just
Yes. So, but again, it has to be. Besides, we have to take 5. So anyway, those points of where passion, support of parents, and then working ethics, very, very, very key.
Yes.
Because in our professions, we take our jobs for granted, but you need to take your job as a profession. Look at that guy. I have my carpenters. The guy gets a contract of 4 million. One contract. This guy has to work, and I have to pay him 4 million shillings for that contract. A guy working in the bank every day, putting up a tire and trying to find fuel for his car, which he has to pay at the end of the day, is not making 4 million. Take your job seriously and make sure you treat it as a profession, that it has to feed you, it has to feed your kids, it has to feed your own grandkids.
Okay. Thank you. Faisal.
It is that time.
It is that.
Well, my parting shot is, you know, we are always telling people to do things they're passionate about, and then someone is going to come. Someone the other day asked me, you know, you're always telling me do what you have passion in, what you have passion in, but what am I going to do? How am I going to do if it's not making money? So me, this is how I started out. It's not like I didn't do engineering at all. I did do a bit of engineering. I did work for a telecom, but I had this other thing I knew I could do better.
Drives you.
So I just did it on the side. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Let me do this because I have to do it. I have to get money to take, you know, for fuel. I have to get money for fuel. I have to do all this, you know, stuff and all that. But on the side, you have this thing you're good at. Yeah,
keeps driving.
And the fact that you're very good at this, it is not really going to stress you out a lot. The way this, you know, real job of yours you have is.
Yes.
Because people, you know, people tell me, how do you go to all these things and do all these things? I'm like, but if you're good at it, you will always find a way to work smart. I mean, you will do this real job of yours because you have to keep appearances and all that, but you also have to have that other thing on the side.
Your passion.
And I've noticed one thing in Uganda, it literally doesn't matter who you're working for, but as long as you're working for someone, tomorrow your job might not be there.
Chris,
Simple question.
in a minute.
Yeah, I know. You're doing the Peter thing.
I am doing the Peter thing.
No,
Peter is going to be so envious of me.
I know.
We're never going to host him on the show again.
Yeah, so one thing I want to say is that there's nothing like a man's job or a woman's job. The way the world has gone now,
absolutely not.
there are men hairstylists that are better than women. There's male chefs that are better than women. There's female carpenters that are better than men.
Female tennis players.
It's all tipped. You know, it's no longer the same. So there's no male-dominated anything or women-dominated anything. It's about opportunity and bringing your A game
to the opportunity.
To the table.
So whoever brings their A game wins the day. The second thing I want to say is that most of the jobs we are being trained for now will not exist by the time you graduate. Just be current with what's going on and where the needs are and where people are paying money for whatever it is. Work with your hands, work with your head, work hard and then work smart. You know, both things are absolutely important.
Okay. And there you have it. You have it from the men and our wonderful guest Eve Zalwango, who was out here today breaking down stereotypes and bringing women into a whole new environment of men's work environment. For me, from my side, I think that what I want to say is this, is that work diligently. As Faisal and Chris have said, you must work hard. You must be committed. I think that that's very, very important. And because the world is changing, you can't afford to enter the world with preconceptions. Oh, this is for men or this is for women. It's about who is committed, and that's who wins the day. And that's as much for children as it is for parents. You can't be out there, you're paying fees for a course that you know there is no jobs for in the market. Be careful, be diligent. And finally, always improve yourself. Work on improving yourself. Improve yourself every day. Read something, learn something. Learn from the people around you, learn from the people across the world. Because that's how you're always staying current and always remaining fresh. That's it from us here at NTV Men Tonight. We are at the beautiful Nakuru Skies Hotel. Have a blessed night and we'll see you next week.